everyone, and welcome back to Tech Talk with Boyum. I'm your host, Leat, and today we're going to dive into how businesses can implement automatic quality steps for optimum results. And today, joining me is my colleague, Julian Sonderman, a solution advisor here at Boyum. Julian, thank you for joining us this episode.
Yeah, thanks for the chance to take part of this.
And just to start up, many companies, they talk about quality, but not everybody succeeds in making it part of their sort of production DNA. From your perspective, why is it important to embed quality steps directly into the manufacturing process rather than, I guess, sort of treating it as an afterthought?
Yeah, good point. So actually, the core reason is the difference between prevention and detection. So when quality is an afterthought, so let's say a final inspection, when you send out the parts, you are simply just detecting the mistakes that have already been occurred. So this leads just to scrap, and you need to rework it. Of course, there will be delays, and of course, wasted labor and materials. So embedding the quality steps, you directly check the process. So you're preventing it. So that's how you normally make it part of the production DNA. Let's say it shifts the focus from how do we fix this bad part to how do we ensure a good part is made at the first time. So it saves immense cost and, of course, also the time by addressing the problem at the source and not just on the final process. And, of course, also big point, production DNA, good topic. If it's in the production DNA, you will have the quality in all processes. So it's part of your DNA. You just don't think about it. You just have the quality.
Okay. Could you share some common scenario where manual or delayed inspections create costly mistakes for businesses and how automation changes the outcome?
Yeah. Let's think of a high volume assembly with some production steps. So let's say electronics or automotive parts, something like that. So you have the costly scenario, of course. So an operator just starts the operation, and actually the raw material was already bad. So it wasn't checked when it was received. So he starts producing it, but it's totally out of scope of the measurement. So all parts will be bad. So in the end, he produced a whole shift. And the whole material is bad, so you can just scrap it. So you wasted a whole shift and also a lot of material. You probably can't rework it. And as you don't have that material anymore in stock, you will have delays in finalizing the product and also on the supply chain to your customer. So when you automate it, let's think of a simple scenario where we use inspect with scan. You transfer the incoming goods to a blocked quality control warehouse, and then you make the inspection, and after that you release them, and you can control it with inspect, and with scan you can transfer the goods. So really a nice process there.
Okay. And for people listening and thinking, what does it actually mean to implement automatic quality steps? Are we talking about inspection plans, real-time data capture, or something broader?
I would say it's much broader than just an inspection plan. So you want to implement, of course, also the automatic quality steps. So let's say what do we need to handle it? We need, of course, the inspection plans and also the process how we want to start the inspections. So should it be just on a transaction or be in line? So that's the first thing, of course, you need to do. You need to know what to check, the specifications, and a tool you will probably need for it. But then, of course, it's also about real-time data. Real-time data and also the actions in it. So if you have the automation, it directly starts it. So you really get the data on time, so you can take direct actions to it. So it could come from an inspection order which someone fills out, but it could also be a machine that is checking it directly. So it could be connected to Beas as an example. So you have the values in there, and then you can take automatic actions to say, okay, maybe we directly need to block that transaction, or we need to double check there so that we can take action on it. And of course, that's also the integration, which is really the high level, well, not the high level, but let's say the best way. If you have like sensors, machines, CMMs, and all this stuff, if it's really connected to the ERP system, which is possible with Beas as an example, then you get the really real-time data out of the machine in time, and you can directly take actions. So if a sensor says, hey, maybe that and that is happening, machine is running hot, then you can take direct actions on that one.
Okay. And like you mentioned the Beas there, can you talk a bit about more like how Netronic Manufacturing's Inspect app or Beas, for example, like you mentioned, how it helps companies like move to a more like proactive approach to quality management?
Yeah. Netronic and also Beas, it's let's say the digital bridge for the quality modules. So you have your standard processes, digital. So you ensure that every operator needs to follow them because it's part of the process. So they know which tools to use, what are the processes, so what they need to do. So there will be less human error on it. It's not just filling out a piece of paper. So you can directly give the operator a range. Hey, is it in the range? If it's green or red, there's no yes or no. So they directly get the feedback. And also the manager gets the feedback. So he sees the data live in the system. So they
Okay.
can also decide where to take actions. And then also the last thing that is important there, you have the data in the system so you can work later with it. So you can analyze it, you get the trends. So maybe you check, hey, it's that one supplier which is always a bit out of range. So maybe double check on that one as an easy example. So
Okay.
you can take proactive quality management.
And in your experience, what kind of business impact have you mainly seen from automating inspections? Is it like an error reduction, or is it does it also affect sort of like at the end of it, like delivery times and ultimately customer satisfaction?
Yeah, I would say all of it. So
Okay.
error reduction, primary benefit. Less scrap, less rework, so you have more production time. And also you spend less money because you don't need to rework it. Then also the throughput. Less rework, so you can of course produce more parts. And also delivery times. So think about the example we had before. If you just check at the final process, you just get the bad part. And what is worse than telling a customer, hey, we promised you we will deliver it today, but we can just deliver it in 2 weeks because we just produced bad parts and we need to get the material in and we need to rework all that stuff. So it is really a big impact on the customer satisfaction with the delivery times that you can guarantee. And also, what is a customer satisfaction? As we have all the data in the system, we can of course show it to the customer, or we can print it out, attach it to the delivery, so they get the results. What was done? What was checked? Who was the operator who checked it? So really a good pro also for the customer.
Okay. And like, so in terms of like, in terms of quality management and cost, like how do you feel like businesses can have that balance or strike the right balance between cost efficiency and then consistent quality?
Yeah, Cost is always a topic.
Yeah.
And of course, a quality system has costs. There's no discussion about it. So you spend time on it. It costs time on the operation as well. And also the system itself costs money. Of course, nothing is free. But think about the cost of poor quality. So yeah, let's use the example again. If you have to process on the first step, so the raw material was good on my example, then you don't need to rework it. So it saves you a lot of money
Mm.
and a lot of time in the end. So there is, of course, always the balance between it. But without quality control, sooner or later, you will have a financial loss.
Mm.
And what could even worse, if you can't deliver to the customer, you will also lose the trust of the customer. So the satisfaction of the customer is gone. And if that's gone, it's hard to rebuild it.
Okay, and how like let's go back to like these tools that we mentioned. How does these automation tools sort of ensure that the quality steps don't sit in isolation, that they also are aligned with other steps like production and delivery as well?
Yeah. So of course they can inform you, hey, there's a production that you need to do, but they can also block you. So think about you start a production, and of course there is an inspection that you need to do. And if the system is proactively warning you, hey, you can't start the next process because there's still an open inspection order, so you need to close it first. And it's not just closing, you need to fulfill it first so that it's get released automatically if you are in the range. So it could be a blocking in the production, or it could also be, if you think of a warehouse management system, it could also block the movement. So it could be stored in a quality control warehouse or on a blocked location, and the system will block it if the release was not done from the inspection order. And of course, finally, delivery, same as moving into production before the quality check wasn't done. Delivery is not possible because it's in the block state.
Okay. And like how do you feel like real-time visibility into inspection results sort of change decision making for production managers and schedulers?
Yeah. So of course we need to difference between production managers and also schedulers. Of course,
Mm.
they mostly work hand in hand. But for a production manager, yeah, they just want to have their goods to send them out. And with real-time data, they get the report daily, or not just daily, just in time, just in the same minute,
Mm.
to find out what happened in the production. So they can proactively take action if a machine is not running, or if it's just producing bad parts. So they could schedule maintenance for it, or they could switch the material, the raw material, to fix the bad parts. And yeah, for schedulers, yeah, they plan the production, so they always have the problem with the work orders that they need to fulfill in that time. And if a quality issue happens there, they will lose that time. So they need to rework it, or they need to reschedule the production order
Mm.
again. So for them, it helps them if they have the data that they can reschedule the next jobs, or to also delivery time, that they place that order again as we work, so that we can satisfy the customer.
Mm.
And yeah, it's proactive. So maybe a good point is that if we have the real-time data, it turns a crisis, which is a quality failure, into a manageable
Mm.
event. So you can handle that one. And it's not just something that happens. You are aware of it. You have the data.
And I can imagine even sort of beyond the factory floor, I can sort of imagine that the automating these processes also helps with compliance, like in terms of regulation and also meeting the industry standards.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
It's a must-have for regulated industries. If you think of pharma or medical devices, aerospace, automotive, yeah, all these industries have their standards with which
Mm.
needs to be fulfilled. And with yeah, an inspection, you have, of course, the digital, let's say, audit trail. So
Mm.
you have the log of every inspection, every data point, also tool calibration. So who used what was the values, real-time data, and it's recorded in the database. So it's not a paperwork that you can fake. You have it there, you can print it on, and you can show it to your customer if something really happens there. So it's really in the system, and that's the main point that you need for the regulated industries in that case.
Okay. And like in your experience, could you maybe share like with our listeners some example you have seen where automating these quality processes helped a business not just meet the compliance like you mentioned, but also build a stronger trust with customers?
So let's think of a manufacturer for a aerospace parts. So like
Mm.
we've mentioned it in the previous question. So they have really strict requirements, what they need to have on the material, and also the whole traceability of every single part. So everything is batch or actual serial number usage there. So they have an automated quality system in place. So in the end, you can track everything down. So if you have the serial number, you see which raw material was used from which supplier, which machine did what step on it, who was the worker, who did it. Also from the quality tools. So if you have CMM, for example, you have the reports there. So everything is logged against a unique serial number. And if you, yeah, report that to your customer, yeah, it's a big yeah, trust for them. So
Mm.
it can be either a printout or actual what most customers or vendors have that they have their own quality system where you need to report those values. So you just create an export and send it to them or upload it. So it's a must-have there.
Mm. Okay. And like when we look into the future, we sort of hear now AI and cloud-based data, those are sort of the buzzwords. How do you see that shaping the next phase of automated quality measurement?
Yeah, the big evolution, the AI topic.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's I think we have to split it a bit. Let's say maybe let's think about cloud-based data first, which is it can be a bit AI, but it's not AI. But let's think of a company that has several plans. So you want to merge the quality. So you could have it all on one storage. You can view the data and you see, okay, on plant one, that and that is not working as expected. So let's also check it on all other plants. Of
Mm.
course, AI can help you with that one. So it's a bit of real-time analyzing that data. So we can also move from predictive to prevention in that case. And AI could analyze a lot of data. So it could be just the entry if something happens, but it could also be more details from the machine, for example, if yeah, maybe a single thing of the machine. It could be the oil level or temperature of the engine. It can take preventive action on that one. So it directly schedules a maintenance or it informs you, hey, do that and that.
Mm.
And of course, then the last thing with AI, yeah, it's a bit based on the cloud data, an AI data analyzer. So you could have a lot. Of course, you have a lot of data that yeah, every transaction is logging, but let's think of you have a customer which is totally unsatisfied with the quality. So it's out of range, and you don't know where the problem happened. You had your test, but the final product is still out of range. Everything is aligned, and you still don't know where it is coming from. So you could then check every quality transaction, every stuff that was going on in the system, but it's really hard to get that data or that you see what happened. So AI could analyze it. So maybe it is then just one supplier for that raw material. So you get it from 5 suppliers. For 4, it's always good. Actually, all 5 are good. They're all in the range, but AI could show you, okay, on supplier 1, maybe that's the mistake there. So you can double check on that one.
Okay. And to sort of finish it off, like if we have like a company listening and they are curious to explore automation in quality, what would be the first steps, practical steps you would recommend to them?
Yeah. Always start with the low-hanging fruits.
Mm.
That's easy. And of course, it also gets you the trust from the company, so internally. So don't start with the most expensive or complex process. Really start low level. So think of you have maybe nothing or maybe just some manual checklist on paper. So start there, digital it, and then think about a tool that can help you just out of the box. So like Inspect, for example. So you create your inspection plans in there, automate them, and then you get the data, you can work with them, and it's really straightforward, low-hanging fruits. And after that, you can go on to really think about your processes.
Okay. Well, I think you've given our listeners something to think about. Thank you so much, Julian, for joining.
Yeah, thanks for letting me join this session.
Mm. And to our listeners, thank you so much for listening in on this edition of Tech Talk with Boyum, and see you next time.